Hey everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this card using the stamp set called Little Buddies and the masking technique. So this is the stamp set. We're going to use the shaker window thin cuts and some papers from Timber and mix-ins. So I'm taking a piece of white daisy cardstock and I'm going to cut this at 4x4. And I'm going to use the shaker window thin cut to cut the outer circle out of Timber, and then the inner circle I'm going to use that white daisy piece. So I'm going to cut this Timber piece at 3.5 by 3.5, and then I'll bring my big shot in and I'm going to cut the circle. I'll run that through. And that will be my frame for my image that I'm going to put on the front of my card. And then I'm going to cut the outer circle, the larger circle, with the other thin cut on white daisy cardstock. And this is the shaker window thin cut, but I'm not going to make a shaker. I'm just using the outer window for a frame. So now I'm taking some masking paper, and I got this from Amazon. It comes in a great big roll. You can also use Post-it notes, and just make sure that you do your stamping on the portion that is sticky. So I'm going to stamp all of my Little Buddies images, there's 12 of them, out on this masking paper. This is a low tack paper, and the entire sheet is sticky, so you can stamp anywhere. And then you have a sticky masking piece. And once you do this, they last quite a while. You can stamp over and over them several times before the paper becomes really saturated. So I just, after I cut them out, I keep them in the envelope with my stamps. So I'm going to stamp all these guys out. So I'll have one of each. I'm not sure if I'll be able to use all of them on this card, but I'm stamping them all out just so that I have them completed and ready for future use. And that way I can choose whichever little guys I want to use. Okay, so I have all these stamped out, and I'm going to take my micro tip scissors and trim them out. So I'll show you a couple of them and then I'll fast forward. It's important to go ahead and cut them right as close to the line of stamping as possible when you're creating a mask, so that your images, when you stamp over the mask, there isn't a void. So I'm just kind of looking at the placement of where I need to stamp, so that, because I have that little 1/4 inch ring around the edge, so I have to make sure that I stamp my images in a little bit so that they're not covered up. So I just stamp my image, and then I take my mask and I place it over that stamped image. And then I stamp my next image, and it can overlap a little bit. And once you remove your mask, it'll look like that next stamp is behind the first one. And then you place your mask over that image, and then you stamp your next image. And I keep checking to make sure that the frame around it is that I'm stamping in the right place. And then I place my mask over the next image. And then I just keep going with all of my little buddies and just kind of overlap each one so that it looks like a great big crowd, and the elephant is right in front, and then the other guys are kind of tucked behind him. So I'm just kind of testing and seeing which image looks the best before I actually stamp it down. And with the koala, it looked okay to have the giraffe's ear in front of the koala's ear. And just kind of testing things out to see what I like. So I think the cat's going to go there, and then I can put the unicorn in. So get those guys stamped down. And then, of course, after I finish stamping, I'm going to color everything in with the tri-blend markers. So I'm also kind of thinking about the colors. And now I need to make sure that I have room for my little sentiment. So I'm going to stamp the sentiment bubble, the speech bubble in. And then I'm going to stamp what's up. So we're getting there. Now I can squeeze the unicorn in on that right side. So this stamp set, Little Buddies, is available until the end of August. So you have a little more time to get it if you're interested. And you can go to my online store. The URL is in the upper right corner of your screen, and I will make a list of all the supplies with links in the description below. So you have a little more time. So after you do all your stamping, then you pull all of your masks off. And then what you have is a group of little buddies, and they're all kind of crowded in there. Okay, so off screen, I've colored all of them in using the tri-blend markers. Now let's create a card. I'm using the Make It From Your Heart Volume 4, and this is pattern number 23. And I'm kind of altering it just a smidge, but I'm just using the pattern as a guide to create my card. So I'm taking a piece of mix-in papers, and this will be my background, and I'm going to cut this at an A2 card size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I've got a frame that I cut from the timber paper using the largest frame. This is stitched rectangles frames, and all of these thin cuts, the shaker windows and frames, they will be available in the next catalog. So don't worry, you'll be able to get those. So I'm taking a piece of white glitter paper, and I'm going to cut this at 4 1/4 by 3/4 inches because I'm going to use some of the wisteria ribbon over it. And again, just FYI, this wisteria ribbon and the glitter paper is going to be available in the next catalog as well. So the only thing that's kind of urgent is the Little Buddies stamp set and the timber and mix-in papers. If those are things that you're interested in, you still have another week or so to get those. Okay, so I'm going to wrap that wisteria ribbon around my piece of glitter paper using glue dots, and then I'll get a card base out and we'll start building the card. So I'm going to attach the mix-in paper directly to the card front. And then I'm going to glue everything else down using the Aqua Tombow glue. I'm just using really thin bead of glue. And I realized just in time before I put that frame down that I needed to put my piece of glitter paper down first so that I could layer the frame over it. So I'm placing that down about 1 inch up from the bottom. I'll get that adhered. And now it's time for my frame. So I've cut a piece of craft foam using the thin cut die, And I'm using the inner circle of that thin cut. And I'm going to use the craft foam to pop my image on the front of my card. So I'm going to glue the frame that I cut with Tombow glue directly to the stamped piece. Again, even though it says shaker window, you don't have to use your thin cuts to create a shaker out of it. You can just use it as a frame, use those shapes. And then I'm going to glue the piece of craft foam to my art panel using the white Tombow glue. And then I'll place that down on my card front and kind of overlap that glitter paper. And then I'm just going to take a block to put on top of it to give it a chance to set up. And while that's setting, I'm going to create a bow out of my wisteria ribbon. This is the easiest way to make a bow on the front of your card, is to do them separately and then glue your bow down on top using glue dots. Okay, and the last step is to add some of these white pearls and scatter a bunch of those around. This stamp set is so much fun to work with. They're so cute. I'm thinking about maybe using them and adding little Santa hats to make Christmas cards. So lots of ideas. So there's my finished card. I appreciate you watching my video today. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. And thanks for watching.